So going into closing, man. I mean, it's cool that first of all that I got an opportunity to interview you on this show, and I think this is probably going to be one of many shows that you got lined up. So I'm gonna give you the first opportunity to become like a podcast host as well. So every time I close out my show, I give whoever I'm interviewing an opportunity to become the host of Boss Cage, and you get to interview me. Do you have any questions that may have popped up while we've been having this discussion that you would like to ask me?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, how did you get into, starting this podcast? Like what inspired you to get this going?
I almost died. That's what inspired me. Like literally, I almost died. I had a stroke and I woke up in the hospital and looked around and it was just kind of like holy shit. Like I made it through it. So like, what am I gonna do now? Because everything I was doing before was working myself to death. So when I heard you saying like the long hours, I was doing that like the 21, 22 hours around the clock, and I had my successes, but unfortunately, I just burnt the candle on both ends and my body gave out.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, yeah, that's interesting because I'm over here telling people to work themselves to the bone, and you're over here like saying, and that's what's cool about this, right? Everybody's got their own journey, and what works for one person doesn't work for another. And that's why it's good to be inspired by people you can relate to. And there's a lot of stories out there. So my
Yep.
story might be good for somebody, your story might be good for another.